So today I want to talk about songwriting and specifically how I write songs. To do that, we're going to use a song from my band's new record called Shangri-La, and the song itself is called Sully. So there's no one right way to write a song. I think this is just the way that I do it, and the way that I do it is through a process I guess I call puzzle making, because it's not unlike putting together a puzzle. So for example, I'm sitting at home and I'm sitting on the piano and I come across a chord progression that I happen to like. And whenever I find something that I enjoy, I immediately either make a recording of it or make a note of it, because otherwise I'll forget it instantly. So this is the very first recording I make of what will eventually become Sully. Here it is. So that's it. Full of mistakes, because I'm literally just sitting at the piano, kind of going wherever like my ear thinks will sound good, which oftentimes it doesn't always sound good. But I kind of like, there's something there that I like. So I keep messing around, and then 5 minutes later I make this voice memo.
You and your funeral heart in the sirens, a canyon above. But anyways.
So already between those two, they're very different. I've switched from a straight 4/4 meter into a waltzy 3/4 6/8, and I'm adding some nonsense words, which when I'm writing and I don't have lyrics, I like to just sing things that sound right, because it helps me figure out where I want like the accents in the phrase to fall and just kind of how I want the song itself to sound. It sounds ridiculous when you're doing it, but it's really helpful. So I continue to mess with it. Right now I have a verse, melody, and chord progression. So I want to find something that I kind of like for what might be a chorus chord progression, and this is what I come up with.
We had it always in sirens and different hours when I say. But anyways, two different kinds and a man wasn't right. But I say what I want. And anyways, we had a long ways and difference always alone.
So I have roughly something that resembles a chorus, melody, and chord progression. The thing is, these 3 recordings that I made these 2 years before I actually finished the song. I don't really remember what happened or why I didn't finish it. I think at the time I thought that maybe it was too spooky or something. I don't know. But yeah, I make these 3 recordings and then I don't do anything with them for 2 years. So fast forward now, 2 years later, I'm reading this story about a songwriter named Jim Sullivan. Jim was a songwriter in the LA area in the 60s. He grew up in San Diego. He makes a record called UFO with the Wrecking Crew, who did like the Beach Boys records and worked with Phil Spector, and so like sort of like the premier studio band. He's got lots of famous friends, Harry Dean Stanton. He's got a cameo in the movie Easy Rider, but for whatever reason he just never really finds his thing, never finds his place. So in the mid-70s, he decides what he's going to do is he's going to pack up all his stuff, drive to Nashville, and try and make a living writing country songs. He starts driving and stops at this place in Santa Rosa, New Mexico, La Mesa Hotel, and then he just disappears. They find his car like 40 miles away. It's got all his stuff in it, but they never find his body. They never hear from him. As I mentioned, he's made this record called UFO, his most successful record, and then he just vanishes. There's this sort of air of mystique of like, well, what happened? Was he murdered? Was he taken somewhere? Who knows? I just loved that story so much that I thought it would make not necessarily like a great song about specifically his story, but maybe inspired by it. So I start writing some words down, and as I'm playing, I'm realizing that the stuff I'm coming up with kind of sounds like those voice memos that I made 2 years earlier. And so this is where like the puzzle pieces come together, right? Like I have these chord progressions and melodies, and then I have an idea, and those two kind of get married. So I start the lyric writing process now, and I'm going to kind of walk you through how all these lyrics get written, which is it's a hodgepodge of like piece by piece. I do lots of editing. So this is the start of it. This is how I begin writing a song. I'll open up a Word document. I'll put the song title up top or a working title up top, and then I'll make a guess at what I think the song structure is going to be. In this case, I went with a verse-chorus structure, and then I'll just kind of start putting stuff down. So you'll see the first thing I have, the only thing I have to start out with is fly off in a UFO, is that I know I want to incorporate the imagery of UFOs into this. And that's all I have. So I start just racking my brain. The next thing I add is in the chorus, I add, "Will wrestle an angel, or was it the Lord, betrayed by a kiss, touched by a sword?" Reference to the story of Jacob in the Bible. He's returning to Canaan. He comes across what is either an angel or the Lord God. I mean, the text isn't clear, but I really wanted to incorporate biblical imagery because in Jim Sullivan's title track for UFO, the song UFO, the whole premise of the song is maybe Jesus was an alien, which I thought was such a great concept for a song. So I want to marry those two ideas together, right? That the biblical imagery with UFOs. I've got like a rough concept of the first half of a chorus. So I keep writing. You can see here I've moved that chorus phrase to the second chorus because I don't know how I'm going to get from the image of flying off in a UFO to the story of Jacob in the Bible. I just can't imagine transitioning there, so I've moved it to the second half, and I've also written this second phrase: "We drive by the moonlight, sleep in the sun, hide from the devil, dance when he's done." Right away in the next pass here, I've already moved that phrase to extra because I don't like it. But I think maybe there's a word or some words or an idea there that I like. I add here in this next pass the second half of that chorus phrase that I like more. Right now it's "The beast and the buzzard, the dog and the deer, by God or the devil will all disappear." It's a little heavy, and you'll see later that this ends up getting revised. In the next pass, I start working on the other chorus, which is kind of common for me. I don't know how you guys are, but I have an easier time writing choruses than verses usually. I don't know why that is, but I do. So I start working on chorus 1, which is "We'll meet at La Mesa Hotel in the spring." I know because of the other choruses that the rhyming structure for this is going to be A, B, C, B. So I have "meet at La Mesa Motel," which is A. "In the spring" is going to be my B rhyme. And then "something," which I don't have yet, is going to be C. It doesn't have to rhyme. And then "each song that we sing." I like the word sing rhyming with spring, so I just put that one down. And then I also like at the end the line, "By highways or skyways we all disappear." I like that phrase, and you see I've included it in that previous chorus there, but I like that hook, "we all disappear." Next section that I do is I finish up the chorus. So I have "We'll meet at La Mesa Motel in the spring, drum up a band, offer to sing." So I found how to incorporate sing into the phrase. "We'll see in the desert as we shake off our fear, by highways or skyways we'll all disappear." I like this. Feels consistent. I like that in the spring, Sullivan disappears from the motel on March 4th, so timeline is kind of nice that it matches up. Not super important, but if it works, it works. So let's move on to this next section. I'm starting on the verses now, and what I'm starting with is that line, "Fly off in a UFO." I like that line, and it fit with the melody that I kind of had in mind. So now I'm just trying to figure out how do we get to that place where we fly off in a UFO. So the first phrase that I come up with is, over the years we get tired of the coast, so we pack up the car or fly off in a UFO. It's okay. I don't love it. I get a big chunk here with, I figure, okay, let's start with biblical imagery again. And from Genesis, let there be light and the Hollywood stars. Lead us 4 days and nights, constellations of bars. I like that there's a reference to the biblical imagery there. It sings well, which is always important. Is that like, I don't want the lyrics to just make sense, but I want them to feel good when I sing them. And then the second half is, head like a hammer, drunk on the coast, so we pack up our bags and fly off in a UFO. So the first verse it's about a bar crawl. It's 4 days of partying and drinking, but I like the sort of combination of taking something very normal or very ordinary, right? Like going out and drinking, and then pairing it with something that's strange, right? So biblical imagery of let there be light, or the fact that at the end of this, this pub crawl, that you get into a UFO and fly away. So now we have first verse done, we have a chorus done, we have a second chorus done. In the second chorus, I've changed the second half to, the beast and the buzzard, the cattle, the deer, by dog or the devil will all disappear. So there's going to be another revision here, but right away I was like, by God or the devil will all disappear felt too like, Swedish death metal or something. So I want it to be a little more lighthearted, and it's on its way to being that. Start working on the second verse. The only thing I can come up with initially is I have this phrase at the end of the second verse. It's a melody line, and the melody line is so I need something with 3 syllables that I can say twice. So the first thing I think of is USA, USA. So I got to figure out how to get to that. So verse 2 becomes, again, simple roadmap. Start with biblical imagery. Halfway to Canaan ties into the second chorus, the imagery of Jacob encountering the angel on his way back to Canaan. So halfway to Canaan, we piss by the road, and you point, look a message written in code, because every good song needs a good piss joke in it. Second half is a debt on our heads, so we wager the game and we chant through the static, USA, USA. So this is just like picking up where the first verse left off, right? You've done your partying for the weekend, and now you're flying off somewhere. You're headed home, in the way that Jacob's headed home to Canaan, and it incorporates a piss joke. So I'm super happy with this verse. I think it's great. And then I've also changed in the second chorus, the beast and the buzzard, the wine and the beer, as opposed to the cattle or the deer. Cattle or deer felt too, I don't know what it felt like, but it just wasn't right. And so I changed it to wine and the beer, by dog or the devil. So I liked that better. Instead of like everything dies, like maybe like, yeah, everything dies, and also like if there's alcohol, someone's gonna drink it. At this point, I think that I'm done. I put together what I think is gonna be the final lyric sheet, and I make another phone recording. The next day though, I come back to it and I realize that it feels like it stops short. So I wanna have something that really drives home the end of the song. And so I add an outro with the repeated phrase, we all disappear. So at this point, the song's ready. It's done. I'm really happy. It feels consistent. It feels interesting to read. It's about stuff I think is cool, UFO and wrestling angels and songwriters from the 60s. So this is great. I like this a lot. And it's ready to be recorded. So we'll take this into the studio and then basically do that whole process all over again, but just now with arranging. But I want to play it for you now so you can hear what the song itself sounds like acoustically without any additional instruments. So this is the finished version of the song, Sully. Thanks for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment in the comment section and we'll be in touch. Thanks, guys.
Let there be light in the street full of stars. Show us 4 constellations of Hollywood bars. the spring, drum up a band, offer to sing. We'll find in the desert as we shake off our fear. By highway or skyway, we all disappear. Halfway to Canaan, we piss by the road, and you point like a message written in gold. Dead on our heads, so we wager the game, and we chant through the static. USA, wrestle an angel. Or is it the Lord offered a kiss, given a sword? The beast and the buzzard, the wine and the beer, by dog or the devil, we all disappear. And we all disappear. And we all disappear. And we all disappear. And we all disappear.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.